Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.
Rebel soul child got a fist ball, I'm a respawn of ancestors, and I'm blessed, They are not him, tell him fess up, I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless, yeah, I got next up, right, no we not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to ride, you do better keeping it quiet, my pen is ignited, my soul is enlightened, I like who I am but I'm biased, the palette is right, and my drip is a fountain, I'm not like these regular guys, all of that talk is misguided, she like the way I make the tape print, but the way I make the words play is grim, I'm the reaper reaching for the kill switch, the label cut the check like the blazement, something sparking where his brain is, the beat is somewhere where they prayers in, Geronimo the way I make the bass jump when no parachute is tasted.
Yo, what is going on, people? This is the best MMA show in the country, throwing hands with ASAP Sports Network. I'm the co-host, Josh. I got here my boy, main man, James. How you doing, my guy?
Man. Always good. You know how it is. But especially good today on our new day, Tuesday. Made things a little bit easier for us to get in here and handle a little bit of business. But how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I've been running nonstop, doing all kinds of stuff, dealing with sore jaw too. But otherwise, I've been doing pretty good, man.
Yeah, I hear you there, man. Running nonstop, that should be like my middle name. I feel like you don't ever get some rest.
There we go. If you be a fighter, I'd call you the running man.
For real, the running man. Always on the move.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. What we got going on today? Let's see. We had some announcements this week through Ruff, didn't we?
Yeah. They're now going to be starting October 7th. They're going to be hosting another fight event. It'll be the Ruff 49. It'll be a kickboxing event that'll be out in Tuba City during the Navajo Festival. So it's going to be a pretty cool one. And then they also got October 22nd, Ruff 50, which will be MMA back at Celebrity Theater.
Nice. So October 7th, you said that's going to be a kickboxing event. I did see that. I haven't been to one of their kickboxing events yet. I'm really interested. Really started out, right?
Yeah. If I remember correctly from what CJ told me, that's actually, I think freaking Braver. I think they actually hosted their very first event out in Parker. I could be wrong on that, but the Navajo reservation was one of their first areas, so they're taking it right back to the roots, and it'll be right in the middle of the festival too. So anybody that goes, you literally got so much to go out and check out.
Nice. And I haven't been to the Navajo Festival, but I've heard from through the grapevine, living out here in Arizona for the many years I have, that it is a great event. It's a great festival to attend. If you haven't attended, you got more reasons this time to attend, because there'll be a great kickboxing event going on during the festival. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of excitement going on for the crowd.
Oh, sir, yes, sir. And I haven't been to the festival either, so I'm especially excited for that. And some extra little more incentive for you guys to really want to come check it out. Currently, I'm actually also working for one of my fighters to get him a contract to compete on that card.
Oh, which fighter is it?
Dustin Trilla. He's a pretty cool dude. He's got some crazy ass kicks. Like when I said that my jaw's sore, it's because last night we were literally up at like 10:45 at Fuhr's Endorphin Factory MMA gym in Havasu, working on pads, and one of his kicks slipped up pad, caught me clean on the chin. I had chin to chin.
Hey,
but no,
man,
he's a badass.
Gotta guard that button, Josh. Gotta guard that button.
Yeah, I was primarily using precision pads, so I wasn't necessarily prepared to do the kicks, but we were still trying to get it in, and it just slipped right on past. But I ate it. I ate it like the beef jerky at the last show, so don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, they made us eat some jerky in that last show, for real.
Yeah.
So another one of those like Havasu fighters again making their way out there, man. Havasu's really making a name for themselves out here in Arizona. What's up, Dre? How
Yes,
you doing
sir.
today?
What's up, man? What's up, my guy?
Thank you
Yeah.
for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in.
Mhm.
Um, we'll have to stay tuned on more of the card for Rough 50 because I didn't see too much on the card. So we'll have to
Yeah.
stay in touch for that. May have some more updates maybe in the next show next week.
Mhm.
Um, outside of that, now I do want to go back. Let's go back to UFC. The card coming up this weekend. We can break a little bit more into that.
Okay.
So
Let me
we
pull it
got
up.
Gain and Tuivasa. So I'll let you get it while you're pulling it up. So Cyril Gain is actually ranked number 1 in the heavyweight division. Tuivasa currently is ranked number 3. Um, you know
Yeah. Okay, and now I
the
got it up.
right. We do know Gain is coming off of a loss. Vasa's coming off a win. So this is the thing. They both are heavy hitters. Um, and
Sabatello. Is he going to be competing on the card?
no, he's talking about the
Oh.
next one, I believe. Um,
Oh, okay.
but the thing about this particular matchup, like we were talking about last week, Tuivasa is a bigger fighter. Naturally, he's a bigger guy. They
Mhm.
both have heavy hands. We've seen Gain can get put out. We saw it happen in the last fight.
Yeah.
Took his first loss. Um, my question is it more beneficial for Tuivasa and his style for them to get in a slugfest? And is that more detrimental in the sense for Gain?
I would have to concur with that, with being that I feel like that would pose a greater threat against Gain, because you see Gain, he's big, but he's also lengthy too. Taitu Vasa, he's going to have a bit of a shorter reach, but because he's a big guy like that, if he just tries to go in there and start throwing bangers, able to catch him in the pocket, I think that could possibly put Gain at a disadvantage. And truthfully, for the fights that I have seen with Gain, I've never seen him be in a situation where what happens if he gets his back to the cage in the midst of a brawl like that, and how he's able to overcome that adversity.
Right, because we haven't. You're right. We haven't even seen him in that type of position yet. Really, I mean, even the last fight, he just got knocked out. So it was a
Yeah,
clean. He was asleep.
yeah. Or who
Hey,
did Gain fight last time?
Gain fought. Was it a strap? Hold on. I don't want to
Let
misspeak,
me
so I'm gonna
see.
pull it up real quick.
Yeah,
But
I think the last one was against Ngannou, and that was I forget what was that, a decision loss.
no, I believe if it's the fight I'm thinking, he got knocked out. But hold on.
Let me see.
But
Oh,
while I'm
what's
pulling
up,
it up,
Ray? How you doing, man? Yeah, we're doing awesome. We're doing
no,
awesome.
he lost to Ngannou.
Oh, okay, yeah, and it was a decision
Yeah,
loss. Okay.
yeah,
And then Tai Tuivasa, he's coming off of a knockout win over Lewis, right?
correct. Knocked Lewis
Okay.
out, and Lewis came off the loss against Gain, I believe, right?
Lewis. Yeah. Yeah. So both of these guys have knocked out Derek Lewis, which actually makes it
Correct.
even more interesting because now they both got the power. And if they get that one shot like Derek Lewis can and just knock him out clean, and then just the caliber, because I mean Derek Lewis, he's no joke at all. Derek Lewis is a very phenomenal fighter, and he's the epitome of what we saw with like Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman, to where he still has that one shot in the chamber that'll knock you out even in the last 10 seconds of the fight. But for him to get taken down like that by both Tai and Gain, it's just that shows that they're on a different level. And that's why I'm especially interested to see how this fight is going to go out. Because we're going to see probably one of two things. Gain is going to keep distance and use like front kicks. He's going to use his spinning kicks. He'll just use his reach to keep Tai Tuivasa at bay and pick him apart like that. Or Tai Tuivasa is going to be able to kind of not necessarily bull rush, but get him in close, dirty box, get right in there and just start brawling.
Right. No, and yeah, Dre, no, that's why I said I wanted to just double check. But Ngannou, but even in that Ngannou fight, so this right here is what Dre said. I think that Tuivasa is lighter on his feet than Lewis, and Tuivasa is a little bit more well-rounded than Lewis is as well. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be a Gain versus Lewis fight. My thing is this. Tuivasa, to me, it's hard, man, because I didn't think he was going to beat Derek Lewis. I'll be perfectly honest, going into the fight with him and Derek Lewis. So that was a surprise for me. And then, looking at this fight, Gain has about a 6-inch reach advantage on Tuivasa. And as long as Gain stays outside of that reach and plays it safe, he's going to end up knocking Tuivasa out because Tuivasa is going to take those chances.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I had to pose my question earlier is, I do think Gain, coming off of this loss, wants to make sure that he lays his stamp so he can get back to that belt quicker. Because remember, we talked about it last week. We got John Jones with the intern BS going on. We got Ngannou over here. So there's a lot going on up at the top of, the division. So I think, to me, if I'm looking from the outside looking in, obviously, I think he wants to make a stamp. And that might be detrimental to him against Tuivasa.
Yep, exactly. Because if he's able to keep him at distance, that 6-inch reach advantage will definitely play well. But otherwise, if Tai Tuivasa is able to get in the dirty boxing and get in up close in the pocket, like what he did with Derek Lewis, for example, then you're going to see Gain kind of struggle with that. I know Gain, he has a sneaky uppercut, and I think he even caught Derek Lewis with it. But Tai Tuivasa, he's another caliber fighter. Like, he surprised me with knocking out Derek Lewis, because truthfully, I thought it was going to go the other way, and it's like, no, it was completely lopsided the other way, and Tai Tuivasa just dominated. And Gain, he did the same thing, but Tai Tuivasa, he got concrete hands.
Yeah.
He don't just dish that two-piece special. He's going to give you the whole family meal.
Right. No, he don't even want he wants the 2 Big Macs, the 40 nuggets, and the 3 large fries and 2 large sodas,
Exactly. And the milkshake.
He's going in. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's true too.
And that's another thing. But I think, going back to where I was saying, I think the difference between Tuivasa and Derek Lewis, I think Tuivasa is a little bit more well-rounded, and Tuivasa is also more agile than Derek Lewis is. So I don't know if you really want to get into a clinch with Tui. I don't know if you want to be in that position. I just don't think it's going to be one of those things. Now, I do see Gain still being very dangerous coming out of the clinch. With those elbows.
Yeah, I'd say so, because if he has Tai Tuivasa against the cage, then yeah, he could definitely utilize his elbows. But if Tai Tuivasa is able to get his back against the cage, it's going to be a little harder, because you're not going to be able to.
Dude, man.
Yeah, you're going to have that weight on you. You're not going to have the same leverage with throwing that elbow strike, that elbow sprite, that elbow strike. And I mean, but if they like break pocket real quick and like pushes Tai Tuivasa off him, then yeah, he could probably maybe catch him with the elbow on the way out.
Yeah, no, Frankie, I had to give him a week break. You gonna mess around? Let us talk about the Cardinals tonight, man. We just had our cut day. Don't play with me. No, but I definitely think that I'm gonna go on and say I will. I hate to say it, but I'm leaning towards Gane in it.
Are you?
I am. My heart is with Tuivasa. I just enjoy watching Tui. I've always enjoyed watching Tui. I've always enjoyed watching Derek Lewis. I just like their style of fighting in that division. Yeah, but I'm going to have to say Gane is a more well-rounded fighter.
Yeah, and see, that's a fair point too. That's a fair point too. If his cardio goes down, that's why I'm kind of on the fence with it too, because Gane's just the technical level. How we see in past fights, he's able to utilize his reach when it's success. You say that Tai Tuivasa, he's more versatile and everything, and if he's able to utilize wrestling and catch Gane's kicks and start reverse it, kind of like what we saw Francis do. But truthfully, I think it's going to be a stand-and banger. And with how versatile Gane is and the technical prowess he has, that's the troubling part. But otherwise, yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I still kind of want Tuivasa to win because of the style of fighter he is. And every fight he brings the entertainment, he brings the show, he brings the guns, he brings it all.
Right. He lays them hammers. He has that Thor hammer in that right hand. And that's the other thing too, is when we look at Ngannou's a freaking NFL middle linebacker or something. Like, bro, he's huge. He's like Myles Garrett. Like, you know what I mean? So it takes away from what Gane is good at, and that's his athleticism in that division. Going back to what Andre said earlier, I'm gonna bring that back up. He said, he moves like a middleweight and his footwork's crazy. It's 100% correct. And then you throw him in the heavyweight division and it amplifies how good he is in those categories. I mean, in the heavyweight division, John Jones that's it, really. I mean, there's a couple of other guys, but they haven't had that success. So Tui, like Dre said it earlier as well, Tui, once we get past round 2, your chances diminish quickly. Quickly. So
you see Damien in the comments, he was saying Gane in round 4, which if it goes that far, exactly, it could go. Gane could get the advantage because if he works out that gas tank and just gasses them, then what's there left?
Well, before we move on to the next one, I got this question that just popped in my head with that. If they go to a decision, where does that put Gane? Because I don't know if a decision gives him any leg to stand on in requesting a title shot.
Yeah, I would say it would definitely determine like the performance. Like if they're on a war, you see them going at it, and it was like a hard split decision win. But like you see the prowess and the talent they have displayed, I feel like that would be him the leg to stand on. But if it's like, for example, Francis Ngannou after his loss to Stipe Miocic, he fought Derek Lewis, and it was a bad performance on both ends, and that hurt his step up to be able to get back to that belt. So he had to work harder for a longer time. If Gaines kind of goes that same route, if this becomes kind of like a lackluster performance, which is no jab at him at all, but if it becomes like a lackluster performance, like you could tell he could have done better, then yeah, I think that would hurt. I would actually say that would probably bring him back a bit.
Right, because I mean, looking at it, I mean, even if Stripe loses this, he has still a leg up because you're fighting whom most consider still the champ, or some, I should say, consider still the champ. So even if he loses to John, I still think that, you know, he's still a step ahead of Gain necessarily in my eyes. I mean, granted, he doesn't have just a horrible performance or get knocked the hell out. But, you know, then you turn around and you look at Ngannou, who he's going to, you know, have to deal with next. So you got at least 3 fights, to a minimum of 2, possibly 3 fights that you have to watch before he gets a shot at it.
Yeah.
And if you have a bad performance, that might turn into 5.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder too, is Francis is he still recovering from his surgery? Because I know that's what put him out for quite a while.
And I'd say 60%, 45% of that was recovering from surgery. I'd say the other was his issues with Dana.
Okay.
I mean, just in my opinion, I mean, I know that he's sidelined with an injury for a while, but I also think that, you know, he didn't push back hard because of the situation. And we talked a little bit about that last week in Dana's response, you know, with the way he responded to them. Yeah. I mean, that seems like the common answer, Dre. It seems like the common answer. I told you where my heart lies.
Yeah. You know, it's gonna be a hard fight unless Gain pull out that shocker, but I don't know, just the way that they're performing, I think that's gonna be pretty even. But yeah. And then
I mean, Tui's probably gonna get worked, man. I'll be honest. Tui's probably gonna get worked. He's probably gonna get worked, especially because of what we seen, the way we seen Gain perform against Ngannou. And like I said, Ngannou's like a freaking Patrick Willis. Like he's just an anomaly for the size and his athleticism that he does have and the way he moves for as big as he is. So for me to see Gain take Ngannou the way he handled him, I just I love Tui and all, but at the end of the day, he probably the longer it goes, the worse it gets.
Yeah. I could see Gain getting something in the 4th, like what Damian said, like possibly a submission or a technical knockout or anything like that. But I think it's still probably going to be a pretty hard fight. They'll give each other a run for their money, and I could probably see that Gain in the 4th.
I say if it's 2 or under, Tui wins it. If it's over 2, Gain got it. I'll be surprised if Gain knocks Tui out in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
I can see Tui just catching him off guard and knocking him out in the first 2 rounds. So it will be better than the Usman Edwards fight. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's absolutely no way. There's like no. Because the thing about the Usman Edwards fight, bro, the build up for the Usman Edwards fight had everybody on their seat in the first place. Because Edwards had a valid point. You know, he got Usman right out of there. Edwards was still kind of young in his fighting career. You know, and he just worked him. He just kept taking him down. And he wasn't prepared for that, and he got him. Edwards had a valid point. What we saw in the beginning of the fight was a repeat. Domination. Capital D. He gave him the D, no pun intended. But, you know what I mean? He gave him the domination. The same thing that we seen in the first fight. Now, the thing about it, Damian, that's going to separate that fight from this fight or some other fights we can kind of go into is the shock factor.
Yes.
The poetry of the kick. There were so many different things on that portion of the way that fight ended that was just like, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a rocky story. It really was. And it was the fact that Edwards was dominated so much throughout that fight. Like I know Edwards, he got a takedown on Usman, which very few people has ever done that. But the fact that it was so lopsided, Usman had, if not nearly twice as many strikes against Edwards landed. Edwards, I don't think even broke 100 total strikes landed. But then it was just that last minute, and then the sheer shock factor, the fact that just it blew everybody's mind, and everybody just immediately jumped on, this is the greatest sport in the world. Anybody can beat anyone on any given day. It don't matter who you are, where you're from. You catch them, you dominate, and next thing you know, you're a fucking legend.
That was like running a 400 meter, and you see the girl that ran 350 meters in first place, and then the girl that was in third place just comes around the corner at the very end for the last 50 meters and hawks her down. That was the Leon Edwards fight, because he was this close to just walking across the finish line. He didn't even have to do anything. He could have sat in the corner and just waited it out.
Yeah.
He absolutely did not have to make a move, and he got slept. And that's what we were talking about last week. Damian, I'm not sure if you caught it, but I was like, it was almost because if you watch the whole fight leading up to it, he never bit that hard on anything Leon threw. The whole fight, he never bit that hard on anything Leon threw. And Leon threw a straight right hand. Nothing funky on it. It wasn't a knuckler. It wasn't a curveball. It was a straight two-seam fastball right down the middle. And all of a sudden, he overreacted to it and got caught.
Yeah. Exactly. I won't give away details, but for my guys' training camp, me and my fighter Dustin, that's something that we kept on talking about, is that fight. And just that's like a great thing about kickboxing is the way that you use your feints and set up the kicks, get the opponent to react or overreact, and then just capitalize. Because that was kickboxing classic, the jab or fake the jab and then just come with a high kick, looped around the neck, hit the spine, and he was out.
And that was the other thing too. Like, it was a lazy jab. He was tired. He was beat up. He was defeated. And he threw a lazy jab and, went through the motions. That kick was coming regardless if he reacted or not. And it just so happened he did what you throw that kick for.
Yeah.
And, Damian, the other thing about it is, it's been a long time since I've seen a heavyweight fight more exciting than the middleweight, the welterweight divisions have been given us. Yeah. I mean, Izzy, Usman, and Charles, anything that they've been on lately have been just beautiful.
Oh, you cut out there for a second. What'd you say?
I said Izzy, Usman, and Charles, anything they've been included in lately has been just beautiful.
Yep, exactly. And it's kind of sad to see the heavyweight division in a bit of a debunk of an issue like this. Because I mean, when we were growing up, the light heavyweight and heavyweight division were the two top ones. Lyoto Machida, you had Forrest Griffin, you had Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, you had all these like founding fathers of the sport. Yeah,
Randy Couture.
Yeah. But now it seems like a lot of it's shifted over to where it's just the smaller divisions they just bring more entertainment. And maybe it's too because we don't exactly have as many of the like heavyweights that bring in that wow factor, that really kind of bring in that crowd appeal and draw.
I want to say that, I mean, how many games do we have? How many John Joneses do we have? We have a lot of Ngannous. We have a lot of Tuvasas. We have a lot of Derek Lewis's. We have that. We have a lot of that, and I think that, and I'm not trying to say they're not well-rounded fighters, but we have a lot of sluggers. We have a lot of heavy hitters. We don't have a lot of guys that are out there, using their agility, using different weapons, so to speak, in that division.
Yeah, that's also a really good point too. Because think about it, what is the narrative that even we keep on talking about with Cyril Gain? The fact that he's so quick and agile as a heavyweight, that brings in that wow factor. That's what is God's eyes on him and why he was able to get to the title shot to begin with. Because you don't see a lot of heavyweights that are that light on their feet, that quick, that agile, that versatile, the ability to throw so many different shots from so many different angles
Right.
versus a lot of other heavyweights that you see where it's mostly hard bangers and stuff like that. And I think that I forget the name of the dude, but there's one upcoming heavyweight fighter who is actually pretty actually good. I think he is doing some parkour stuff in the cage last time he fought and won. But we need more of that in that division.
No, and you're 100% correct. I mean, it's hard, looking at it. Pavlovich, is it Pavlovich?
And the heavyweight?
Yeah, the dude you were talking about, is it Sergi?
No, I think he was here in the US. I'd have to bring up the rankings. Let me see real quick.
Unless it's Tom. I don't think it's Tom. But if we look at this list, I'm just gonna ring off the list they have here. You got Nagano, you got Stripe, you got Gain, you got Tuivasa, Pavlovich, Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades. I mean, and then you got Volkov and Bader to end it out with Tom Aspinall. I mean, most of those dudes are sluggers.
Yeah.
Most of those dudes are gonna get in there and punch you out. One of them is going to sleep, and that's another thing that I think that was a downfall in our division for the last 2 years. Minus the COVID year, but for the last 2 years, leading up to that, from 2018 to 2020, really, all those guys we just named were beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
And they were turning their lights out. And you can't take too many of those, especially from the power that these guys are throwing. So I think that was also, the division kind of self ate itself.
Yeah. Because of how much of those shots can you take over such an extensive, long career like that? Because you see what happened, like Muhammad Ali, the greatest fighters, but you get hit so many times it doesn't number. Especially when you get big guys in the heavyweight division that will weigh upwards 230, 260 plus pounds, and they just throw all that weight into that punch. And I think the fans kind of picked up on that as well. Because you see kind of a lot of fans, and even Khabib himself, they're kind of more interested in like submission.
You froze. I don't know if that's you or me. But yeah, no, you're completely right. I mean, that's the thing that we deal with in that division, and hopefully, with John Jones joining that division, and Usman, I really, hey, I said it twice already, like the past couple weeks, but I'm really excited about Usman's brother getting into that division. I really want to see what he develops into, going forward. Question: what are y'all's thoughts on the one promotional MMA company, do y'all see it giving Bellator and UFC any type of competition and a run for their money? So, Damien, this must be one of the first times you kind of caught our show. Even though, Damien, I see you a lot around the network. So, but Rough Nation, we both Josh and I are local Arizonians. We cover a lot of Rough Nation. Rough Nation actually was running a tournament, a heavyweight, to crown a heavyweight champion and get them a contract with One Championship. So we actually talk a lot about One. And we were talking last week in particular about this whole clusterfuck, for lack of better words, that
Yeah.
the UFC has going on with their fighters and pay and how this can affect them going forward.
Mhm.
And me and Josh both agreed that this could be a pivoting point because I feel like One has a strong following internationally.
Mhm.
And, Josh was saying last week as well that that's the thing that I don't think the UFC understands. If you get one of these companies that already have a huge international following and they're already saturated in these European countries and a few of these other countries that are big on fighting, and you get a couple of, like we're sitting here talking about Gain and Tuivasa, let this exact same matchup, let's put it on One Championship. Are we
Yeah.
turning on this weekend? Yes, we are.
Mhm.
And that's all they
I
need.
Yeah. And like you see Demetrius Johnson and just the last two fights he has and how much extra attention that brought over there. Because yeah, and then UFC they're trying to host their own like little tournament in Singapore, which is where One Championship is based, which kind of sets red flags up for UFC. Like, hey, we got competition coming in because of this Road to One tournament that just happened, and then they got Terrence Jean Jacques now fighting out in Singapore under One Championship, and once it breaks out, I think that to kind of like continue on with like that pivoting point that you mentioned. With that pivoting point, right now we obviously I think we could all agree that the UFC almost has like a monopoly over the sport. And it's not necessarily saying it's like bad on them for that, but they kind of do. They have that leverage, and that's why also a big contributing factor that the issue with the pay. And if you start seeing One Championship break out into the US or bring in more of these high entertaining fighters, they bring in the Izzies, the Usman, the Edwards, the Masvidals, the Ngannous, the Gain. If they're able to bring fighters like that into their organization, that's going to start pulling that popularity and that draw away from the UFC and into other promotions, and could very well be a very big point that may finally get Dana White to go ahead and increase the pay.
Now, here's the thing though. I mean, I'm gonna put it like this. This is my best way to answer it for you, Damien. I look at it like the shoe world. You got Nike, you got Reebok, you got Adidas. They all have their run. They all have certain sneakers that we look at and we're like, those are nice, those are nice, those are nice. That it doesn't matter the brand. I like that shoe. The one thing that Nike had was Jordan. So no matter the ups and downs that was going on, Nike's still going to remain on top because they had that Jordan.
Mhm.
Right now, UFC has a couple of Jordans. And if Jordan decides to leave and go to the One Championship or go to Bellator, because even when you say, do y'all see it competing with Bellator? One Championship can compete with Bellator today. And that's because of UFC's pull, not because of Bellator and what they're putting out at all. but it's the stronghold that UFC has to me that makes that possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the people that watch Bellator on a regular basis are people that love fighting, period.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how true it is too, but Bellator, don't they offer higher payouts too for the fighters, right? Like that's something I heard too. I know Dana White, he has pointed out one of his reasons for the fighter pay was the level of medical care for his guys, saying that he has like the best ones, the best teams, the best hospitals, the best doctors, and everybody to look after this, best therapists and treatments and everything. And Kevin Navadad, who's a current UFC fighter, I had talked to him sometime before, like early last year, when I got to train with them for a little bit, and he was kind of explaining like all the stuff that they have. And I mean, that could be a justifiable answer with not paying so much because the fact that they're putting so much money into the medical aspect. But otherwise, it kind of still Bellator pays more, and we all got to make money. We all got to
Look,
make bread.
this is the face I'm gonna have to give that. All that means is your eye has a big gash on it, and I want the best doctors to go touch it so you can get back in the freaking octagon quicker, so I can make more money.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Bro. Like, because honestly, let's be honest. Let's be honest. You get suspended for a certain amount of time for just off GP. You get hit in the head a certain amount of times. You get certain things happen. There's a certain amount of penalty. Now, what that penalty was when this started to what that penalty is today, I would love to know, because that right there is a direct contributor to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you got great medical, they're getting back in the octagon. So there are, I mean, and then also the other thing about that is we've heard how many fighters talk about, post-fighting career medical. Who, how does that, we've heard that has been a talking point.
Yeah, we were talking about that last episode with what Luke Rockhold pointed out, which is also a very fair argument too. That's a very fair argument because you see, like the NFL, for example, they do also cover long-term expenses for medical care and for anything that they developed because of time in the league.
Right, and that's the thing too, is like, I don't want it to sound like I'm over here bashing Dana or anything. I respect Dana, what he's put together and what he's built here. Again, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing Dana or anything. I respect what he's put together. On the flip side, I respect what Vince put together and what he had going on for all those years. I mean, it's hard to run a business, and I'm sure you have your ways of doing what you do to make sure you stay profitable. However, we are talking about one of the most gruesome sports as far as long-term effects on a person, as far as possibilities is concerned, because we know what a kick to the freaking dome can be at the end of the day.
I mean, my jaw still hurts from that kick I got last night.
Right. I mean, so that's the thing. I'm not bashing him, but I also do see Bellator. And I also do see what he's been putting together. And he's been paying his fighters more than UFC fighters on average. And he is not as big as UFC. He doesn't have the multi-years of cash flow that UFC has had over the last few years. So I think that says enough. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and and I know Dana, he does care about his fighters because you see the passion, a lot of stuff that he does,
Right.
but also like at the end of the day, it's a business. Business got to make money and everything. So I don't want to seem like I'm bashing Dana at all either, but I mean, there's two sides to every story, and there's a term that, just because I'm a freaking nerd, a term that I love to use is anarchic truth, which has existed for like 2,000 years. And it basically means that there's an infinite number of truths. And two truths in this situation is the fact that, yes, I'd say Dana, he definitely does care about his fighters, but at the same time, yes, I do kind of agree that the fighters deserve more pay.
Agreed. I mean, and it's not just like, oh, I think they deserve more pay. It's the reasoning behind it is, again, we can watch uh we can watch Bellator, and we know they don't have the same, they're not on the same level as UFC. We know this.
Mhm.
But we can watch Bellator and see their fighters get paid more.
Mhm.
And to me, if I know that they're not on the same level as UFC, that's a problem.
I'd say Bellator more
Bellator,
because bare knuckle is it's boxing but without
different.
gloves, so it's technically different, a different sport. But
You gotta be a totally
I
different
was
individual for that.
yeah, that'll do harm on the boxing sport. But I was actually thinking about that with Mike Perry, because I mean, if all the best fighters there too, they start to leave over, they start to go over to boxing. Well, now the boxing area going to thrive more, and then you're going to start seeing those top notch fighters, those high dollar value fighters, switch over.
Well, Tyron Woodley put a bad taste in my mouth for this whole little boxing switching thing. You
Hmm.
bet, like they can't be Akers or what is his name? Aspen, Ben, Ben and
Yeah,
Tyron, man,
they should never
that was not
competed.
a good representation. Not a
Yeah,
good representation.
Yeah, Anderson Silva, that's I'd say a good representation. But the Mike Perry just got Michael Venom Page from Bellator, who wanted to kind of branch out, and Mike Perry actually got the W on that. And that was a crazy fight too.
Yeah. Um, I don't know, man. I think that that's the beauty of MMA. That's the beauty of watching Bellator, of watching UFC, of watching these other MMA promotions, is because these guys are masters in some areas. Some of
Hmm.
these guys are master BJJ guys. Some of these guys are master kickboxers. Some of these guys have mastered wrestling through their career. So it is dope to be able to say, I'm watching, like you said, Mike Perry, and I'm watching these other guys branch out and do other things in the sport. So to answer your question, at the end of the day, I mean, to answer kind of both of them in one, I don't think Dana should be worried about one specific promotion. I think Dana should be worried about the decentralization of MMA. MMA is in a minute not going to be about turning on UFC anymore.
Hmm.
MMA is going to be about, this is one of my favorite fighters. This guy is competing in this weekend. This guy is competing in this weekend. And I think we're going to see more of that over the next few years than we are going to see more from quote unquote powerhouses of promotion.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely concur on that. And that's like on not only but a local level, we're starting to see more of these other promotions starting to rise up. Just this year, Rough Nation became the #1 fight promotion in the state of Arizona. And now in California, we have Valkyrie Fighting Championship, which is an all women's promotion, and that's actually a very big pivotal point too as well, because that's the first one to ever do that. And you're not seeing the UFC do that, where they founded something like that in a sense. So you got a lot of rising promotions now that's gonna start to come up to par. And One Championship is just like another example in the fact that they own Rough here, and they're able to now utilize more of the US market.
Right. And see, I think another thing that we're seeing, guys, is the TV market changing, because when UFC first came up, it was either you had cable or you didn't, and if you didn't have cable, you weren't watching it. Now there's so many places, and there's so many different streaming platforms, there's so many different ways to watch television, that, or not even just television, but just so many ways to watch content, I should say, that people are saying, oh, well, this thing called Brave over in Europe, they have some really exciting fighters. Oh, Bare Knuckle is traveling. Oh, and now that's why we're gonna start seeing things like the UFC, things like, well, most of the UFC is going to take a hit, but we're going to see like things like the Brave crossover to America. We're going to see things like Bellator start growing in international presence way bigger than it has. Things like One Championship, like you mentioned earlier, Damien, they're going to have a way bigger American presence. And so once that does happen, at the end of the day, I think it's going to turn into more of a fighters following than it is going to turn into promotions.
Yeah, exactly. And another good point to add on to that is, not everybody can afford to constantly buy the pay-per-view to watch the fights for the UFC, especially when they just increased the price of the pay-per-view this year, versus One Championship, who literally shows their fights for free. It's all for free. They make the money off the sponsors and all the other stuff they do, and they have a multi-million organic reach last year. It was in the millions, just purely organic, no paid advertising or any of that.
No, that poses a question though. How in the entire fuck do you validate increasing the cost of pay-per-views and not say, hey, my fighters don't need a pay raise? Then I don't think we should be pay raising this pay-per-view. What are we paying for?
Exactly. Exactly. Dude, I'm always a broke ass bitch. I can't afford the, what was it, like $75 now? That goes towards gas. To me, that's almost a single tank of gas, bro. To me, that's just like 5-6 items at the grocery store. Not everybody can afford $75, and because you're not going to have the same access to it, where else are you going to go to watch fights? If you're truly passionate about the sport of MMA and you want to be able to watch it, then you could literally pull up something else and find a different promotion, such as One Championship.
Low-key live. No, it just look, this is my message to Dana. You want to fight piracy, lower your costs. You're so upset about this piracy thing. Bellator ain't screaming and crying about it. I don't hear none of these other places screaming and crying about it. You want to fight piracy? Why the hell is your shit $75? I ain't seen Mike Tyson on there yet. Mike Tyson was the only one that he can, and Mayweather had it too. Mayweather had it like that too. Pacquiao too. Okay, boxing is different. Let me put it like that. Boxing is just different. I don't know what it was. We gonna pay that $99 for the boxing matches.
They've also been around for a lot longer too, and they pay for their fighters is drastically different. Like they can make hundreds of thousands more off it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's like okay, but at least I know where my money's going. It's going into Mayweather's
Mhm.
pocket or it's going to Pacquiao's pocket. I mean, at least I know. Like it went. Okay, it went to him. Yeah, he won it. He got a little bit bigger purse too. Like it went to him. Like, and this pay increase, you ain't even giving the fighters extra money. Would you buy another yacht? What happened? Like seriously, where's the money going on that one?
Mhm. Little fun fuck it Friday.
Right. I'm just gonna slip off over here. Oh shit, I spit too much. Hey, raise the pay-per-view prices by about $10 at the end. Oh shoot.
Uh,
So real quick, we touched a little bit on this. We'll slide back into it. Um, Whitaker, Vittori, Whitaker and
yes.
Vittori. We talked about how Robert has been laying hands on people, and that is not a Christian reference, but he has been laying hands on people for quite some time. And the only man that he has not been able to lay hands on is Izzy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going into this, what do you feel as far as on the Robert side? I mean, do you feel like this is going to be a lot of the same that we've seen with him in this division, or do you think he's going to have a little bit more trouble with Vittori?
I would definitely say, trying to think back on like the stuff we talked about last time and trying to give a fresh perspective. I think the main dangerous part would probably be Tori's chin. But otherwise, Whitaker with his versatility and what he brings to the table, honestly, I'd see Whitaker getting the decision win. Maybe I can't really see yet the knockout happening or a submission really, because they're going to stand and bang. They're going to be on the feet in the clinch. There's not going to be too much ground game. But I don't necessarily see Whitaker really being able to get that solid knockout just because Tori's got a chin. But I could see him get that decision win.
Yeah. The crazy part to me is since 2017, since 2018, I'm sorry, he's only lost to Izzy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time he was knocked out was 2015 by Jack Jackson. Or no, I would take that back. He beat Jack. He's never been knocked out. So Rob throws knockout.
Oh wait, you're cutting
punches,
out.
time and time and time again. I said, and Rob throws knockout punches. We've seen it time and time and time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be a great matchup. I just think Rob's gonna pull it out. And the sorry part about it is, after he wins this, I don't want to see him fight Izzy again. Because if you fight Izzy again and he beats you for the third time, are you retiring?
Yeah. I don't think he'd move up in weight because he had a lot of trouble in moving up at that weight. Yeah, because the size difference.
Yeah.
I was thinking that he moved from up to down, but no, he actually was originally fighting in the welterweight and then he had trouble there. So I don't know how successful he would be in a different division.
And he can't go no further down, I don't think. Like at that point, he's gonna get sick trying to go weight.
Exactly. Could we see a possible shift with him? Like if there's no more roads or no more avenues in the UFC to get that title back, could we see Robert Whitaker move over to a promotion?
Now here we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking like a Ben Henderson type of situation.
Yeah.
And that's no shot at Ben. That's no shot at Ben at all. He was just in those lower divisions at that time were stacked. When Demetrius Johnson was here, when Ben Henderson was here, when those divisions were stacked. So there's no shot at him at all. But I'm saying, yeah, maybe we have a Ben Henderson situation where he says, you know what, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna dominate for as long as I can.
Mm-hmm. And didn't he get the belt over in Bellator?
He had it at one point. And because Ben Henderson, that was one of my favorite dudes to watch.
Yeah, that's why it was so crazy to meet him at Rough, because he's like his fight against Nathan Diaz and just all the other opponents he's fought, and just the freaking entertainment factor he brings.
Yeah, just leave it all in the ring. Like, I just love Ben Henderson's style.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's a hard one to call. I'm gonna go out and say, I'm going Rob. I'm going Rob, and I'm going decision split.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree, because I don't think Rob is going to be able to generate power to really put Vettori on the back pedal and get that unanimous, but it's going to be a hard fought back and forth, because you see Robert, he's also prone to getting hit a lot. You know, he got rocked in both of your Romero fights. He got rocked when he fought Derek Brunson. I forget a lot of the fight against Jared Kennedy. I missed like half of it, but he's also been put out a lot of ugly situations, but he's still bounced back. But that's the big thing. Vettori, he's got that chin, and he hasn't lost to anybody else but the. So you know they're both are going to really put on a phenomenal show. Oh, did I lose again? No, not that yet. Let me see. Oh, okay, so it wasn't me. Okay, thank God it wasn't my internet for once. I always have horrible internet, people.
Yeah, no, we just got hit, and so at least they waited to the end of the show to hit us bad with his internet issues.
Yeah, no worries. It's eventually I'm gonna get Allo over here where I'm at, and they need to hurry up. But when they get it, I'll get the fiber optic cable. I'll be able to run all kinds of shit. And the only thing that'll stop me is the monsoons. These damn monsoons.
Speaking of which, damn HEPA machines, damn it, because these monsoons wasn't this bad the last 3 years. All of a sudden now they're just dropping bombs on us. Like the monsoon water is like just they're like nukes, man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, one of my friends or one of my old coworkers out in Phoenix, she had almost like a micro tornado that happened outside her house, and it literally threw around her table back there. It was a glass table, so it shattered everywhere. And then here in Havasu, there's like 3-4 cars by my old work that literally got pulled into the wash because of how bad the floods were. I ain't never seen that in Havasu.
Bro, micro bursts. It was like 3 or 4 years ago, they just started popping up these micro bursts where just like the energy and the static or whatever, the electricity just meets and it just poof, it's like a micro burst. They've been blown up houses and stuff. And I'm like, dude, these monsoons were never like this about 4 or 5, 6 years ago. All of a sudden now, these months is like I feel like this Wizard of Oz the next day after the monsoons.
Exactly. And dude, freaking Parker and Needle on multiple occasions lost all of their power. All of their power because the storms had knocked out like 4, 5, I think even 6 like poles. And it's like, bro, that's freaking insane. I literally had my front bumper ripped off from one of the flash floods driving halfway to Phoenix. I got trapped on the same road for 3.5 damn hours, dude. There was a cop in front of me, and both sides of the road was flooded. So I was stuck with
Is that what
rising
you're
water.
headed down here for Rough?
I was getting my kid. That was like 3 weekends ago, but like just like minutes before getting him, boom. It just went like shit hit the fan. I had my front bumper rip off, a bracket ripped off, and had a screw that was grinding against my tire. I was like, bro, I didn't have my charger, so my phone was at like 36%. I had no form of entertainment, and all of my cigars. So it was like, fuck it. This cop, he can't arrest me for smoking a cigar. Both roads are flooded. I ain't going anywhere. I'll just bust out this fool, and I just started smoking a cigar in front of the cop.
Bro. No, they've been going crazy. They have been going crazy. I blame it on weather machines. Somebody somewhere is pushing some magic buttons, and darn it, we're getting some crazy weather.
Bill Gates, no.
For real. You know, I think they're preparing us for doomsday, to be honest. I mean, they're putting us through the ringer. That means stay in the gym, keep training, be prepared.
Exactly.
Oh man, but that's a good way to transition into us leaving for the night. Meet us back here, guys, next week, Tuesday, our new day. It's a new day, no pun intended. Yeah, meet us back here next week on Tuesday. We can talk about all of this gain, Tuivasa, and Whitaker and Vittori. We'll talk about all those Vittori. We'll talk about all those results, what happened, what it means for the divisions going forward. You know, what we're thinking is going to happen with that. I mean, like we said, I mean, both of these two divisions, both the middleweight and the heavyweight division, are sitting in weird positions right now. You know, for different reasons. But both of these fights are going to give us some insight of what we should see to end the year as far as the top of these divisions. So meet us back here next week on Tuesday. Josh, I think you have some interviews coming out, right?
Yeah. So Monday, it should be September 5th. I'll have the interview with Bez Nagashi come out, and then I'll have the clips go throughout the weekend so we can have it ready for the Tuesday. And dude, it was a great story. It was a great conversation with them. So we'll definitely love talking on that.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna break it down like we do. We'll have some highlights to show. Hopefully by next week we'll have a little bit more information about Rough 50. So yeah, go from there. But you guys know how we do. You know, signing off. Jay Ness. Josh said what? We'll meet you guys back here next Tuesday. But for now, have a wonderful night.
Yeah, peace.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.
Rebel soul child got a fist ball. I'm a respawn of ancestors and I'm blessed, They are not him, tell him fess up. I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless. Yeah, I got next up, right? No, we're not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to ride. You do better keeping it quiet. My pen is ignited, my soul is enlightened. I like who I am, but I'm biased. The palette is right, and my drip is a fountain. I'm not like these regular guys. All of that talk is misguided. She like the way I make the tape print, but the way I make the words play is grim. I'm the reaper reaching for the kill switch, the label